Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
It has been revealed the government has begun investigating public servants over Commission of Inquiry evidence. It comes despite the Premier initially sidestepping questions in Parliament with calls for more transparency.
The Commission of Inquiry hearings exposed decades of child sexual abuse and cover-ups. Last month in Parliament, the Greens asked if employees implicated would be investigated.
Amendments were made to that Act to provide protections for employees who give evidence.
But legal experts say they do have the power to launch investigations.
It's there to prevent people from being pressured into not giving evidence rather than protections for the content of what they've said.
Despite the original sidestep, it's now been revealed the government is investigating some employees. It's unclear how many, but only 11 public servants have been stood down since March. Advocates say there's much to uncover.
Throughout the Commission of Inquiry, we heard a significant amount of evidence that would amount to code of conduct violations.
There does seem to be a little bit of silence from the department heads as to how they are responding to the evidence that has come out of the public hearings.
The Greens say the government should be more upfront with what actions it has taken.
We don't know whether the government is acting on the evidence that has come before the Commission of Inquiry or not, because they're not straight with us about what their response is.
A formal apology was made this week to victim survivors, along with a commitment to action. Advocates say if the government is serious, then it needs to make use of this power.
I think it goes hand in hand with public interest to see that key figures that have been brought to light within the public hearing evidence are also brought to account.
Action crucial to avoiding the mistakes of the past. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian man has been sentenced to 3 years and 6 months behind bars following a joint anti-child exploitation team investigation which saw 13 victims removed from harm. The 64-year-old was handed down the punishment in the Supreme Court yesterday after pleading guilty to online child abuse material and child sex procurement offences. Another member of the State Liberal Party has failed to make his stance on harmful conversion therapies clear. The Premier claimed the party was united in support of a ban. However, Minister Guy Barnett refused several opportunities to confirm his support.
We've received the Tas Law Reform Institute report, and as a government we're considering that report and will respond to that report.
It was revealed yesterday backbencher Lara Alexander was hosting a forum supporting the practice inside Parliament House. Opposition MPs have slammed the state government for failing to provide sufficient care for Tasmanians living with long COVID. The state is currently without a physical clinic for sufferers, and medical bodies warn with case numbers rising, face-to-face treatment could soon become a necessity.
Understanding the reality of living with persistent and debilitating post-COVID symptoms has become increasingly important for medical experts.
Unfortunately, it's stopping people going back to work, it's making people permanently retire. We know that people, in most cases, will recover, but it may take 6, 12, 18 months.
Unlike some mainland states, Tasmania doesn't have a physical space for long COVID sufferers. Instead, you see a GP to confirm the diagnosis, who can then obtain a referral to enrol in the post-COVID-19 navigation service.
GPs are so overwhelmed, and the government has to take some responsibility for the specialist needs of people with long COVID.
In the face of increasing infections out in the community, it's unclear how long this model will be sustainable.
We can't predict what's going to happen, but if we follow the same pattern of elsewhere, yes, it is likely there will need to be physical clinics rather than just a navigation service.
We'll take advice and make decisions as we always have, which will be informed by the Public Health Director.
Operating for 7 weeks now, the service has already managed 51 patients.
The government pretends it has a COVID clinic, but it's only an electronic clinic. It's not real, it's not present, it's not receiving patients.
State Health Commander Catherine Morgan-Wicks says it's designed to provide them with tailored care to support their health needs. The state's top public health figures have already warned another wave of infection is imminent, as the latest data shows more than 2,000 new cases have been reported in the last 7 days. Right now, the current risk level remains at low to moderate, but Public Health has confirmed it's continuing to monitor case numbers and other data. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has joined the country in pausing to remember the end of World War I more than a century ago. The RSL hosting a range of services for more than 17,000 defence veterans currently living in the state, as well as the families and friends of those who never made it home.
A minute's silence speaking volumes. These Tasmanians banded together by loss, their hands held and their heads bowed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Today we remember all veterans in past wars, World War I, World War II, right through to Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and of course Afghanistan. Wreaths were laid for the fallen men and women whose legacy now lives on in the hearts of loved ones.
Vietnam veteran. I lost a few mates over there.
I spent some quiet contemplation thinking about my father, my grandfather-in-law.
Let's also not forget that there are thousands of families left behind that also sacrifice living a lonely and difficult life without their loved one.
Some paid tribute from the sky. Others were on ground leading a military reenactment.
We have the 25-pounder that is a gun they used during the war in the desert, and we're going to shoot a couple of shots when they gave us the signal, blank of course.
Navy Marines also disembarking the USS Tripoli to mark what they know as Veterans Day.
These service members are acting in the spirit of those who have served their country, many of whom have made the ultimate sacrifice.
The RSL hosted 30 official Remembrance Day services across the state. Veterans in the north moved by the respect of younger generations.
Oh, look, I've never seen so many young people here on Remembrance Day. When you see them coming, you just say, we're not doing this for nothing. It's worthwhile happening.
The strong crowd's evidence that at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, 9 organisations supporting veterans and their families have shared in $50,000 of funding for improved facilities. The Veterans Minister announced the recipients of the Teddy Sheen VC Grants program today.
Organisations like Hobart Legacy and the various RSLs around Tasmania to support upgrading of their cenotaphs, upgrading of their club rooms, upgrading of their kitchens.
La Trobe's Teddy Sheen VC died in battle in 1942 off the coast of East Timor. He was the first crew member of the Australian Navy to be awarded a VC. AFL boss Gil McLachlan says the finer details are now being worked through on a Tasmanian team. McLachlan says there is still a funding hole over the club and proposed stadium, but an announcement is creeping closer.
This is a huge thing for our league, for Tasmanians, for the Tasmanian government, and have come a hell of a long way in a short period of time with a couple of things to close out.
An announcement was expected back in August. Tasmania's bid still doesn't have unanimous support from the clubs, but the AFL hopes that will change. Labor has called on the government to release its updated land tax revenue projections. As property values increase, so too have taxes, a rising cost for many small businesses.
What is going on here? What are you going to do to resolve it, if anything? And what are you going to do to smooth land tax bills going forward?
A government spokesperson says there are no new revenue projections since May's budget, which showed it would decrease. Well, foodies with an appetite for fresh local produce are in for a treat. The Taste of Summer Festival unveiling its official list of stallholders. 1/4 of vendors are new businesses, with some trusty favourites like Banh Mi and Grill back for another year.
We're going to bring our street food, particularly the with the banh mi, Vietnamese pork roll, and we do everything on the char grill.
30% of our stallholders are from regional Tasmania, so east coast, up the north, northwest and south down the Huon.
The Hungry event organisers say tickets are selling fast, encouraging Tasmanians to get in quick before they sell out. Well, close to 3,000 visitors have made their way to the Archibald Prize exhibition at Launceston's QVMag in the first 2 weeks since its opening. It celebrates 100 years of the prestigious art prize, allowing visitors to experience how artistic styles have changed over a century. The exhibit closes at the beginning of next year. Launceston's festive spirit is set to shine in 2 weeks' time when the city's Christmas tree goes up. Festive window displays will also return after a quiet couple of years during the pandemic.
Also, Santa's reindeers are hiding everywhere. There's all of them scattered across the city. The clues are going to be up in the mall.
One of my first tasks as Mayor has been to communicate with Santa Claus and to see if he would be interested in coming to Launceston on the 25th of November, a month early of course, but to start our Christmas festivities in the CBD.
The launch on November 25 is free for families to attend.
The Adelaide Strikers have sent the Hobart Hurricanes into bat in their women's Big Bash clash. Lizelle Lee intent on putting the Strikers under pressure.
And he can cash that one in. Hit that so sweet, right over the fielder's head.
The Canes are currently at 2 for 80 after 11 overs. Tasmania has missed out on a spot in the Hockey 1 finals, the men's team going down to Melbourne 6-2. The game was all locked up early on.
Haywood, easy as you like, but one of the best in the business.
Melbourne blew Tasmania out of the water in the second half. A win would have seen the Tigers move to second on the table. Devonport's Kai Savage could soon be moving to the United States to play basketball. He's looking to join California Baptist University's college basketball program. Fellow Northwest Coasters Trey and Taron Armstrong are already playing with CBU. And it's Friday flashback time. This week marks 14 years since one of the most brilliant but expensive Test debuts. In 2008, Jason Krejci etched his name into history when he took 8 for 215 against India after being plucked from Tasmania's Sheffield Shield side. Jason Krejci, or just plain crazy to teammates, announced himself to local cricket fans as part of the Tiger squad. But his name flashed up around the globe when he took to a dry pitch in Nagpur.
Goal bowled him. Krejci has another wicket.
Selected especially for India's testing conditions, Krejci's famous debut had more than a touch of irony. He was the only bowler capable of ripping through the host nation's watertight top order.
Yes, what a good catch.
But was also smashed all over the ground.
He miscues, but he'll still get it away.
His 8 for 215 was the 8th best debut in history, but also the most expensive. Amazingly, he could have had more wickets if Sachin Tendulkar hadn't been dropped twice off Krejci's bowling. Instead, the little master went on to make a century.
And once more, he looks skywards.
But this innings would be remembered for the Tassie Tigers' crazy figures.
Bowled him. 2 in a row. Jason Krejci's on a hat-trick.
India won the test, but Krejci returned to Hobart a hero.
I can't say it's a dream come true because I would never have dreamt that before. So, mate, it's incredible. No words can explain.
Krejci was axed for the next test and appeared only once more in the baggy green, but his brief impact would be written in history.
215 runs and 8 wickets.
Good evening. Friendly Beaches was the state's top at 25 today. Hobart and Burnie both 23, 22 in Launceston and 19 in Devonport. Ooze 24, 22 at St Helens and Grove, Maria Island 21, Flinders Island and Lyowini both reached 20. Overcast cloud covered much of the east of the state today with patchy cloud elsewhere and thunderstorms over the central east. Thunderstorms can also be seen over parts of the mainland, with cloud lying over coastal parts of New South Wales and southern WA, and low-level cloud covers Victoria. Tomorrow, a ridge extends over Tasmania with troughs across central Australia and inland New South Wales. South to southwesterly winds of 15 to 20 knots, building to 30 knots through Bank Strait and Franklin Sound during the morning and about the northwest in the evening. There's a strong wind warning for the far northwest and central north coast and Bank Strait and Franklin Sound. And an initial minor flood warning has been issued for the Macquarie River. 16 and cloudy in Hobart tomorrow, Maydeen at 17 and a possible shower for Oatlands. A shower or two across the north, Launceston 19, 17 in Devonport and 13 in Lyowini. Burnie 15, partly cloudy and 19 in Strawn and a shower or two for Marrawar. A possible shower and 16 in St Helens, Swansea 15 and cloudy at Orford. Tomorrow's UV remains at very high 8s across the state. Showers about the northwest on Sunday, extending statewide throughout the morning, possible thunderstorms in the north. More showers on Monday, clearing from the north and the east in the evening, with thunderstorms also likely. And showers continue on Tuesday, with snow falling to 900 metres in the south and possible hail in the west and far south. Sunny in Brisbane and Sydney tomorrow. Melbourne 21, rain and a possible storm in Adelaide and a top of 34 in Darwin. And right now in Hobart, partly cloudy and 14, Launceston 19 and 18 in Devonport. And Kim, have a lovely weekend.
I will, you too, but I think you're working. But enjoy that also. Well, that is all your news for now. Lou is back from holidays and will join you also for our weekend bulletins. For now, on behalf of the entire team, it is good night.